Hi, my name is Steve Radich. I'm founder of a company called Cloud First Development. Been in technology for all my life. I want to get started with a series about how to program. This is primarily geared towards my two high school kids. They're beyond some of the level of these, but I'm going to show you how to get started programming and thinking about it in a cloud first environment, which is where the world is headed. So I'm using Visual Studio Community Edition for what we start with. I just went to File, New Project, and you'll see by default you have some templates in Visual Studio. We're going to use C Sharp. We're going to develop for Windows, and for now we're going to develop for a classic desktop. And I'm going to use a console application. There is logic behind that. A lot of things in the industry is moving to more small microservices that launch up and shut down. Console applications, I feel, are a good way to learn those kind of things without the complexity of needing a cloud and different pieces. And the Windows Form applications is another fairly easy one, but I prefer console applications. I believe they're a little simpler for people to understand. Basically, I've got just the default values down here, name of the project, solution name, etc. The one thing I've checked extra is create a new Git repository. Git is version control. I'm not going to explain a lot about Git at this point, but I'm going to show a couple extra steps when I build my project that you may not see or think about if you've been doing some programming and not used Git. So we just create a new project. Since it's a console application, it launches up. The namespace is what I named the application, console application 7. Main is the routine that gets started. I'm going to start with the traditional console write line. So we're going to write to the console a line that says hello world. Okay, at this point, Solution Explorer is probably the view you would have. Sorry, I was in Team Explorer mode. What I'm going to show you here is we would go to debug and start our program. What's going to happen here is it's going to immediately exit. So we don't actually see what happened. So I can do one of a few things here. I could set a breakpoint and I could run my program again. F5 is the keyboard shortcut to run your program. So I'm going to hit F5. It now says that it's on this line, console write line. It's about to do this. If I Alt Tab over to the console application, you'll see there's nothing there. When I go to debug, I can step over this routine. There's no reason for me to try to step into it. Step over, now I'm at this next line. It took less than 1 millisecond to do that operation, and you can see hello world is on the screen. I can just press F5 to continue, which if I go to the debug window here, you'll see continue, just exits the debug breakpoint. And now my program's done, I'm out of debug mode. Different traditional way I want to show you to do this. Actually, before I go on, I want to go up here and I have a working code, so I'm going to commit this to source control. And it's going to ask me, who are you? I'm going to leave this default and just not put in my information. You know what, actually I am going to put in my information. Steve R. Tutorials at cloudfirstdevelopment.com. And I'll fill out my full information for my name. We're going to save the settings. Okay. Now, it asks me for a message to put with this commitment. I'm going to say, I have hello world working. And I'm going to commit all files. This is going to show me the files that changed as program CS. You notice that's the one we worked on. That was the default to open. I'm going to commit. Generally, you want to sync your changes. There are reasons you'd want to do this. There are reasons it's separate steps. I'm, again, going to continue with simple processes, but it's going to ask me if I want to publish to Git, to a remote repository, or to Team Services from Microsoft. I'm going to skip that. I'm going to go back just to the Home and Solution Explorer. Now, where I started was that, and feel free to rewind this video to repeat anything if you have questions or anything else. The video is made to be paused. It's made to go quickly and then be paused to go through sections. Next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to say read a line from the console. Now, when I read this line, I'm not doing anything with it. I'm simply waiting for a line. Now, if I run without a breakpoint, I get hello world, and I can type hello back to you. Okay, nothing's happened. My program's still running. Okay, you can see up here, Visual Studio says we're running. By default, we have the diagnostic tools. These diagnostic tools will dramatically slow down your system, your program from running. So you may want to get rid of those, but especially if you're on a slower system. On faster systems, it's not very noticeable. I'm going to say hello back to you. When I hit enter, what's going to happen here is my code is just going to exit. Now Visual Studio is done. Didn't really give me much feedback about this. But what I can do here, again, I can hit F9 or I can click over here to get a breakpoint. I'm just going to hit F9. Again, I'm going to use the keyboard shortcut of F5 to run. And hello back to you. And you will see now that instead of being done running, I'm stopped in debugging state. Again, at this point, that doesn't really help you, except that you can see that your text was here, it's waiting the next line. Again, I'm going to continue. Now, you should understand what that just did. I'm going to take out the breakpoint. I'm going to go to Team Explorer. Sorry, I'm not going to do it that way. I'm going to show you the simpler way. Right click on your solution, commit, and say added read line. So we wait for output. I'm going to commit this. Again, I'm going to sync. The reason I'm going to click sync, even though I don't have anywhere I'm syncing to, is just so you're in the habit of that. Okay. Now, if you want to pause, this is a good breaking point to understand. Every time I check in, it's a good breaking point to understand what I've done. I'm going to declare a string that says result. I'm now going to, that allows me to store something that's a string into a variable I'm calling result. I'm going to say result equals whatever was read. And again, I'm going to set a breakpoint here with F9. Save, F5 to run. I say hello world, now I say hello back at you. And again, I end up in the debugger. The difference is now, if I hover over result, I can see that it stored hello back at you, which is what I typed in over here. Hello back at you. So in my computer program now, I could take some action based on this. I'm not going to do that. I'm going a slightly different direction with this, but I want you to see that. Again, we're being a lot of check-ins, a lot of steps here. But basically, every time it works, I want you to be in the habit of checking in. So now I'm storing result of read line. I'm committing this. Again, I'm going to click sync. Okay, and then I'm back to Solution Explorer's view you'll usually be in. Next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to write back to you and say, you said. There's multiple ways you could do this, but I'm going to do result. Just to keep it simple. So you have a string. The reason you can do a plus is because this is a string. Even though I'm not storing it in a variable, it is a string when it's compiled. I'm going to add to that string another string, which is just going to append the two. Again, I'm going to save, run, and when I get here and say back at you, it's going to say something and then it's done running. It's disappeared off screen. What you should understand about a console application is a console application is meant to be run from the console. Command prompt is a console. Another console is PowerShell. To demonstrate, since PowerShell is really taking off as one of the preferred shells for Windows, even though most older people don't use it as their main shell interface, I'm going to go ahead and show that as my primary interface and skip the DOS command window. I can go here and I can do Open Folder and File Explorer. That's going to open the folder this project is stored in on your local disk. The only reason I'm doing this is to go here, highlight this line, copy it into my clipboard. I'm going to close this. I'm going to go back to PowerShell. I'm going to put quotes around it, and I'm going to go to this directory. And I shouldn't have hit that way. I'm going to do this. Sorry, I hit enter before the end quote. I'm now in the directory for this project. I'm going to make my window a little wider. Go up here, go to properties. The font, if you want to change the size, you can change the size. I'm going to change the layout to 160 wide. I'm now going to do a directory to see what's there. I'm going to change the bin directory, which is the output goes into bin and debug or release. Up here, I'm in debug mode. This for early programmers, you probably want to just stay in debug mode. So I'm in the bin debug directory. I can now run my console application here. You'll see it says hello world. I'm going to say back at you. And it says you said back at you, as we expected from our console write line. But now that we're at a console application and we're running in a console window using PowerShell, when it exits, instead of the window disappearing, we have it on the screen. There's multiple things we could do, but basically that's where I want to leave this session off. So I appreciate you watching. And again, feel free to rewind. We are going to check this in just for consistency. So we're going to commit. We're going to say echo back what you said and commit all. Again, sync. One thing I'm going to do actually before I end this tutorial is you might want to know why are we doing that? What's the use of that? If I want to look at program CS, I can do two things. I can view history. I'm going to show this one first. This shows me all the different versions of this program. So you can see at 7:28 p.m. I added the project files. This is my original one that was automatically added. At 7:31, I edited a file. You can see here it's saying who edited it. Unfortunately, I can't move the mouse down there. Who committed it, what the author was, the time, change was editing this file, and my description. I have hello world working. I can even double click these and look at the file from that version. So it's saying the history of program CS. I could look at, sorry, I closed the wrong thing. Let me close these windows, it's a little bit less confusing. Go to view history. I could add a read line, so we wait for output. You can see that doesn't have anything saying to store it. So you can see all these different versions. Other thing you can do, and this is a little bit slow depending on how large your source control gets. Not very slow for most projects you're going to be on early in life, but I can annotate. And what annotate is going to tell me is when these lines were added. So this section was added at this time. Unfortunately, I notice this doesn't show me the time in this window. This line was added later. Given it's the same day, it's not really annotating quite as helpful as usual. If these were all different dates, you would see that this line was added in different dates. And if you had a bug, you'd be able to look through when things were added to know maybe how far back did this bug affect. That's not always going to be the case, but that's handy just to know that feature's there. So that's where I'm going to end this tutorial. Thank you for watching. I'll be coming out with several more. And again, pause it, tell your friends about it, and feel free to ask any questions on the discussion.